New York, and on the new Hot 97 app. Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Hey, it's Ebro in the morning. Laura Stiles, Rosenberg, and two special ladies that stressed me out last night. We have Logan Browning and Allison Williams hanging out with us.
Morning, y'all.
I'm sorry, I was just perusing today's paper, the special Alexa section here.
Look how beautiful she is.
Allison.
You guys are very kind.
Look at my
Get
butt.
Out star Allison Williams thrills and chills again in Netflix's.
Yeah, that's tough.
That is tough.
That is tough.
The Perfection.
Yeah. What if I just chill in the movie? And that's what they mean.
She thrills and chills.
I just chill.
She just chills.
It's a movie where I'm
I
chilling.
had a chance to preview The Perfection last night.
Was it more chill or thrill?
It was definitely not chill, okay? Because
Okay.
I was so stressed out. So I was watching it, and then I text producer Griffin. I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this before bed. And he's like, I'm going to send you some notes. And I was like, so I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm just going to watch
Power
it.
through. Good for you. Professional.
I was stressed out. It's gory. It's not what you think. The twists and turns are crazy. I hated your character at the beginning, so you did a good job.
Thank you.
And then I started liking you, and then I was very confused.
It's like reverse Get Out.
It was,
Yeah.
it was very a roller coaster of emotions,
Wow.
and it premieres this Friday, right, on
Yeah,
Netflix.
so soon. So excited.
What is the experience like of something premiering on Netflix, or what do you think the experience will be like? Or maybe Logan, you're
I'm gonna
better to
defer
talk
to
to
Logan
about
on
this
this one.
because you've done this before. Versus something coming out in theaters. I wonder what the experience and expectations are like.
I was honestly really pleasantly surprised when Dear White People came out on Netflix because that was when Netflix it had a few original content to series, but I was like, oh, some people are gonna watch this show. It's just gonna go under the radar. The difference with this, which I think is really cool, is when you think about a film going to theaters versus Netflix. Number one, not everyone can afford to pay $18 every time they want to go see a movie.
Right.
You already pay for Netflix. It's in how many over 100, almost 200
40
countries.
Yeah.
And then you get it instantly, and it's that word of mouth. And I think what's fun about this is everyone's going to want to watch it at the same time and have that access. But it's also going to be there's not going to be some instant review. The next day after it comes out, you're not going to be waiting to see what people think because people may not actually turn it on that day. It's all about hoping
And I
that
have
they do.
heard, and I have heard from people that depending on the relationship, that Netflix can be coy at first about what numbers look like. So you may not know right away exactly. They have to digest the numbers too, because some people start it.
Yeah, of course.
And then they don't watch it. Or they hover over the preview and then it's like it's gonna start. So I'm sure it takes time. It's like podcast listens. Like, did people fully view it?
Oh, is that really?
Yeah,
I didn't
the
know
podcast
that.
listens game is a total shit show.
Big
It's
podcast.
a complete lie of who listens to what. But yeah, so it's different versus box office. If the money was spent, whether you watched the movie or not, the money counts. So it's just a different sort of thing. But it is exciting now that you have these big major movies that you can watch and not have to leave your house.
I know.
I am hoping people will watch it in groups.
For sure.
This is definitely, I'm sure you wished you had a buddy last night.
Yeah, I had my boyfriend with me.
Was he paying attention though? Was he
Yeah.
there? Was he fully engaged?
No, he was in. He kept telling me, okay, we can turn it off whenever you want because I'm gonna have nightmares. It's very gory. So without giving too much away, because I'm horrible, I'll give it all away.
Oh, boy.
Can you
You are-
explain and kind of break down the premise of the movie?
Okay, well, here's what we can say without spoiling
Okay.
anything. And it's not, okay, I'm just going to say it. It's two people who've gone to the same cello academy. My character left to go take care of her ailing mom, leaving a vacuum into which Lizzie, Logan's character, enters and then becomes the star in the world and pop culture. She makes cello cool. And so my character's just been in Minnesota for 10 years taking care of her sick mom, watching the rise of this other cellist. And they all unite in Shanghai to judge a competition together. This is page 5 of the script, and that's sort of where it stops in terms of not spoiling it.
Right. Okay. Not wanting to give anything away, but I can sort of. Well, at least I have things that I would think, but I don't know. This also is the perfect beginning for something I've been waiting for, which is the cellist horror genre.
I
to
know.
really get going.
Let me tell you, we've got it for you.
Okay. 'Cause
You never
Asked
knew
and
you
answered.
wanted it.
I needed it.
And
No,
now
I've known.
when you watch it, you're like, I needed this.
I've been waiting. I'm like, there's no cello movies these
There's
days.
just one comment on every horror movie on Rotten Tomatoes that's like, where was the cello in this movie?
Needs more cello.
One thing that I will say, I did not expect that much gore.
They
pretty
get in there.
graphic.
They get
There
and
are
you're
parts.
and by the way, you're just coming off of Game of Thrones.
Yes.
In which there's
Yeah.
like knives through throats
Ooh, the
all the
finale
time.
was
But
very-
still, I wasn't prepared for it because when you watch it, I was like, okay, I didn't know what I was
You're
getting
thinking
into.
cello.
You know what I mean? I
Right.
was like little friends getting together. Maybe it's a story of friends.
boy.
Like, you
Don't
know.
shit. You're getting nervous
Yikes.
listening to her tell the story, aren't you?
Slightly, but also I just sort of feel for you because if that's how you went into it,
I
then
had
you
no
were really
clue.
in for quite a shock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Allison, what was the general reaction to you like in public post Get Out?
Wary. Like definitely wary, definitely distrustful. But also excited to talk about the movie. So you could see the inner conflict in people who are like, I don't in my bones feel safe around you, but I do also really want to talk to you about this movie. And it's just the power of like what Jordan did with Get Out is the fact that he was able to take me out of, I was on a show called Girls that had a very specific tone and played a very specific character. And with one role, I like completely flipped that on its head and went from being like, the like average white millennial girl in New York City.
I mean,
not
you were
average,
in, you
but
were
like,
in what was regarded as the whitest show on television.
Yeah.
I mean, Girls was that was beloved, but one criticism of it was that it was a very white
100%.
experience. And then Get Out was this really not only a black story, but incredibly cross-cultural generally
exactly.
in
And
the way
so
it was
then
received.
I sort of became representative of that same group of people, but in the worst possible way.
Right.
Like the most evil person, the most evil version of it. And so with this movie, I decided to do it knowing that would be the association people would come into the theater with or into the watching the movie into Netflix with. And so I thought that would work. I thought it would help the movie get started. If from the minute you see me on screen, you're like, no, I don't know about you. You fooled me once.
Right, you're not doing this again.
Not letting this happen again.
Well,
Logan, did you have any horror
Apprehensions about Allison when I
Yes,
met her.
very good point.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank
coming
you.
fresh off of
Yeah.
Dear White People,
Right.
like, I had issues.
I was that person, like, please, you can't fool me.
And,
Show me
we're
the
not
keys.
friends.
Give me
Don't
the
say I'm your
keys.
first black friend,
I
and
had
then
to
I
hand
find
her
pictures.
my keys every time we saw each
Yeah,
other. I
it
just
was
handed them right over. So
Just like, it was like our trust,
Yeah,
our
exactly.
trust language we had.
Had you done anything in the horror thriller genre prior?
Oddly enough, I did a long time ago. I played a ghost in a movie.
What?
Yeah, it's so weird. And what I wanted for the movie was for me to literally not say anything. And as it developed, we had this Serbian director who was like, "No, I want you to start saying this, this, this." And I'm like, I don't like. How am I speaking like
I'm a
me?
ghost.
I'm like, hello. Like, what? How do I speak? I didn't
What's
really
my
know.
ghost character?
I honestly, and it ended up being a really creepy voice. And I think the movie is on Netflix, but yeah, this was different for me because I was playing a straight character in. she's actually not very straight, but it's like a straight character in a horror film or a thriller for most of it.
Also, with Dear White People, season 2 is out now, right?
Season 2's out.
And I feel like a lot of people are also really invested in the show. At least
Yeah,
a lot
I'm
of
one
like the
of them.
teenagers that I work
Love it.
work with, and people who are like experiencing college right now.
Right.
So how has that? What kind of response have you been getting?
I love hearing students who relate to the show. I mean, people who are like, "This is me. I'm an
Right.
activist on campus," and it ends up resonating with me in. Sometimes a sadder way because I'll go to schools and speak at their schools and I want to listen to them before I speak so that I hear what their issues are and how I can discuss with them. And like UNC Chapel Hill, going to their school and speaking and hearing what it's like for them being on a public campus and having people with guns and Confederate flags walking around their campus and the Silent Sam statue falling down or being pulled down by them and how it took so long for this to happen. And that we're, I'm playing a fictional character, but these students are really experiencing that. And even if I choose to be an activist as an adult, they're in college. Like, you're supposed to just be enjoying your experience, and yet they are forced to make a decision. I remember talking to a girl. She's like, I was forced to choose whether to study for my finals or go to the Silent Sam protest, and I felt guilty about studying for my finals. And then some people made that sacrifice. So that's been such a viscerally intense experience.
Yeah.
It's also, it's just weird too, because you do associate college and activism,
Right.
but you just would have thought, and this is just us being stupid and believing the American dream, that the activism that the baby boomers did in college, in theory, was like that was going to mean that in future generations, when you went to college and you were a person of color or a person who just cared about other people, that you wouldn't have to spend your entire college experience being involved in activism.
Right.
But now it feels that we need it as much as ever.
We do, and you're so right that college is kind of where a lot of activism starts. If you think about the SLC, you think about California, there's so many places where all of the major movements started with students being like, we will not stand for this anymore. So I'm proud. I'm happy to know that, people who are in college care.
Yeah, in high school too. I mean, look at
you're right.
Parkland students and look at the climate,
Yeah.
The climate change students who are just raising the alarm all over the world. It's amazing.
Let's talk about something else that's also very important to the world. Game of Thrones ended this week.
I am so ready to talk to you about this.
And we asked you off the air and you said you're still processing.
I am, yes.
And I understand it is a loaded question. So I do 2 radio shows, and on the morning show, this show, we talk about it in a lot of detail. On the sports show that I'm on ESPN Radio, I bring it up just because I do, but I'm getting asked about it by people who don't watch it, so I have to answer very quickly.
Does
And
Michael K watch the show?
Not at all, and
Okay,
has no
okay.
interest. And he has indulged me and allowed me to play the
Okay.
theme song. And one of my producers, Andrew, he watched it, so we'll just jump into it every once in a while. But when someone asks you, yesterday, Michael was like, "So when it was all said and done, did you like it or not? Tell me real quick." Just from someone who doesn't watch it. And I'm like, hold on, man.
Yes.
I need a minute, okay?
Yes.
I can't
It's
just...
a long-term relationship. You
This
can't
is-
just give it out in one sentence.
Yeah, I can't explain to you how I feel about it, but do you guys, or have you gotten to a point where you can explain at least how you think you feel about the ending of the show?
I only watched 2 seasons. So.
Well,
Okay,
then that
so-
makes it very easy. You watched 1 and 2,
Yeah.
and then you just
It'd
got
be weird
busy,
if you watched
or you got
seasons 3 and 4.
Busy or bored?
you got busy or bored?
Well, I tried to watch the show in that long period of time between the last season and this season, thinking I'm going to be a part of this moment.
Right.
And then I just kind of gave up. I felt like I'll leave it to the birds.
I
You guys are
understand.
the birds.
No, we're the birds. Well, the 3-eyed ravens, if you will.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You're the
Is it
ravens.
little birds or 3-eyed raven?
We're the- wow, well done. So, Allison, then what was your takeaway from...
Okay, so my takeaway was that I feel like where everyone ended up on paper felt like it mirrored the very first episode ever.
Couldn't agree with you more.
And I actually rewatched it last week because, I had an hour. And I rewatched the first ever episode. And each of the remaining Starks said out loud the thing that they got at the end of the series that they wanted.
Bran, too?
Well, I interpret it. Bran's is more interpretative in my mind, but he's climbing up so he can see. He's like a big climber. He wants
Always wants to
vision.
climb up, yes.
Exactly. So I see where the writing was on the wall the whole time. I think some things were a little bit too cute, but I think mostly I'm just sad that I'm not going to be seeing everyone.
That you enjoy so much.
I just fell so in love with so many of these characters.
I think we all did.
I know.
It's
we
a
all did.
goodbye more than anything else, and that's
I love when they put up photos from when they were shooting, and I'm sure you guys can relate when you've been on set with somebody for so long, right?
Yeah.
But they were there for 8 years.
Yeah,
Yes.
and at a
years.
time, and then months at a time every single year.
yes, exactly.
So it's like sleepaway camp, like an intense sleepaway camp.
So you all get emotionally invested. But wait, going back to the movie, okay?
Okay.
Would you
I still have more
categorize it?
questions.
I'm sorry. Would you categorize it as horror? Because I
thought-
don't even know how to explain it to
we
people.
say psychological thriller because horror in my mind is you have to check under your bed before you go to sleep.
Well,
and this
I almost
movie,
did.
Laura,
I don't
you're
think
a
this movie
baby.
does that.
No,
I don't think it does.
Don't listen to her. If Laura is acting this scared, that means it's pretty scary. It's got
Yes,
thrills.
I'm a wuss. I'm
That's
a wuss.
good to know, though, because you
That's
exist
true.
in the world.
Yeah.
You represent
Wusses
a large
exist.
population of
And
people.
have feelings. So you'd say psychological thriller.
That's what I would say because I think
Yeah.
it messes with your mind more
Scarier than Black Swan?
I don't.
Oh, this is weird.
That's a good
It's more
question.
complex.
It's different tonally, too. Far,
And more
far different
blood.
tonally.
More blood.
Lot more blood.
Yeah, no blisters, but other things.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
No blisters.
Yeah, we can
blisters.
spoil that. There are no
But maybe
blisters.
missing, but maybe missing body parts. I didn't say which one.
I wanted a cello blister movie. You're saying there's no blister.
Well, yeah,
Well,
we could. I
forget
mean,
it.
maybe
No,
should
I
we
was
announce
only-
it now?
Let's go and
We're
say
doing
it. Here
a
it is.
sequel that is just following the timeline of a single blister.
This is the exclusive we saved for you
By the way,
guys.
do you have a
Zero.
production company? Because you've got ideas. You got a lot you should
Going
be doing.
I'm also
far.
in charge of the Game of Thrones spinoff. So
Oh, so
you
you
worried?
okay. What spinoff would you most want?
Oh my God, I want to see Arya discover America and then
Do you really? Is that
Columbus
what,
be like,
Arya
hold my
Columbus?
beer, this is mine.
it turns out Arya found America?
She would be the benevolent, not founder, but arrival from the east of America. I don't know. I think I'd like to see Sansa just sit in a throne for a little while. That would be satisfying in that costume. Oh my gosh, Arya. I wanted to see the faces again. I just have too many thoughts. We
That's
need to
what
talk
Laura,
about this.
Laura was very upset about the
That was
faces.
my
What's
big
the other
I thought she
sister's
was going to be
name?
John in that scene
Arya and
until they
Sansa.
kissed. I thought
Sansa's
that
the
was going to be
other
me
sister.
too.
know what I mean?
thought the same thing. I thought that was going to be Arya in a John mask, but maybe because he had already died, that would have been possible.
Do you
I don't
know? Do you know any of the actors in real life?
I do. I know a couple of them. Because for a time, girls and actually it was very funny because girls in Game of Thrones were on at the same time on HBO,
Right.
but like the pecking order was very, very clear that like Game of Thrones like paid for us to have jobs. We were just also on
You
TV
mean you'd
at
be
the
like
same
standing at an
time.
event and they would just like come through and be like, excuse me?
Literally, this happened.
Okay.
I was leaving the HBO building in New York City at the same time as Kit Harington. And it was very clear. We both had cars waiting for us, but it was very clear to literally everyone who was getting in their car first.
Oh
They were basically like elbowing me out of the way. They're like, excuse me, Jon Snow needs to get in his car. And I was like, 100% he does.
He had like
I
an
would do
Escalade.
anything.
Meanwhile,
Where's
a
the
Nissan
horse?
Sentra pulled up like, Allison, call the Uber!
I get in a rickshaw. I'm like, bye, Jon Snow. No, I mean, I that felt appropriate. I was like, I'm so grateful to you for being Jon Snow and for existing and bringing this into my life. And so, yeah, I mean, I've met a few of them. I know Amelia a little bit. And yeah, it's just crazy. It's still surreal because I'm a fan. So seeing them all
I know.
IRL is always going to be
I think
jarring.
there's something about TV characters in particular, and I'm sure you're getting this with Dear White People. Like
100%.
TV characters in particular, even more than movies, to me resonate in a way you're like, I know that person.
You feel like you know them because they're in your living room every week.
like all the time.
And people
And
make
for
you
a
feel
long-
that way.
like,
when
for
you
a
meet
long
them.
period of time.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
You know, that's why. Because a movie you watch it once, yeah, it has an impact on you. But then it's like you look forward to seeing that person weekly or, you know.
Yeah, like I can't meet a character from The Office. It's like you're in my house every day. Every time I'm going to sleep or have spare time, like Dwight Schrute's in my life. Like I can't just see him and talk about something else. And I'll be inherently disappointed because guess what? You're not Dwight Schrute.
I reference The Office, I think, every day of my life.
Yeah, me too. And it's like if it's just a very complex relationship. Speaking of which, I did not plan on asking you about this, but since you're here and it
goodness.
popped into my head, I have felt that recently, and I have zero relationship with her or a strong opinion on it previously.
This is going to be a real doozy.
It's
I
gonna
can
be a little bit of a
excited. I'm
doozy.
going to sip water for
Yeah,
this
and I
one.
have no idea where you stand on this, and if your PR team may start yelling and waving their hands, I don't know. But it feels like Lena Dunham has become
Wow,
like...
didn't expect that.
See, didn't know where I was going.
No.
But you were on Girls. So it feels like Lena has become, and I have, again, no relationship with her, and actually I didn't watch Girls regularly. But it felt like Lena Dunham went from like, she's so awesome. She summed up the way I feel like America treats a lot of things. Oh my God, this person's so awesome. Everything they do is perfect. And then it was like, you know, I'm beginning to find this Lena Dunham person kind of annoying. Like she's everywhere. And then she sort of landed in the spot where I feel like everything she does gets sort of eaten alive, and I kind of feel for her at this point. She has made some missteps that seemed clear, but it also seems like she's become a punching bag a little bit publicly. I'm sorry if that puts you in an awkward position.
No,
Are you
it's
friends with
fascinating to
Lena?
hear.
What are your
yeah,
thoughts?
I talked to her the other day.
Okay.
I have to say, been out of pop culture for the last like 6 months because I was filming. So if you're referencing
No, I think
anything
the last 6
specific,
months have been generally pretty quiet.
Okay. Well, I think in general, so one of the first things on the show is that she was writing such real material that it made people feel very uncomfortable with themselves. I found that the people who are wired most like my character, Marnie, hated her the most because it was like, you don't want to know that that's what you're like at a party or in a relationship or something. It's just it's too hard to absorb. It hurts.
Right.
The truth hurts.
So it naturally made
I
people-
think that put people on their heels. And then also she had the audacity to have a normal body and to be naked on television. And so that really upset people as well. I think the things that, you know, other than stuff that she would say, she said by mistake or had wrong or had to apologize for over the years, I think in general, girls just got people exercised because it was so real and because they wished we were all perfect. I can't tell you the number of times people asked me, like, she's such a flawed character. And I'm like, I'm sorry, do you know anyone who's perfect all the time or who's
Right.
likable all the time? Those people don't exist. And if they are, be careful because they are like zombie people. That's
Right,
not
that's not a
real.
real thing.
That's not a real thing. But anyway, so I think a lot of it started then because she was just writing something so real. But I will say, one of the best writers, if not the best writer, whose work I've ever read in my life. And as long as she keeps writing.
I just always felt defensive of the one thing, which was the Odell Beckham Jr. joke, in which she was clearly, in my opinion, mocking herself, not Odell. And I love Odell. And I was like, she wasn't trying to say that Odell's a bad guy. She was trying to say, why would Odell be looking at me? And it kind of turned into like, how dare you judge Odell Beckham Jr. and think you know the kind of women Odell would like. And it's like, I think she was just kind of poking at herself, which again speaks back to that thing about people not being comfortable with some of those ideas.
Yeah, but then I also think like that sort of culture of being ready to think that to not give someone the benefit of the doubt.
We do not live.
So
it's not
at
a
work.
big benefit of the doubt time right
Yeah,
now.
that doesn't really exist.
It's just not.
No, benefit of the doubt right now, it's called get dragged, and then we'll go back later and see whether the dragging...
We'll do a reassessment.
Right.
There is a really toxic cancel culture that I think we end up putting it on ourselves of feeling like we have to be so careful to not be politically incorrect, to not hurt anyone's feelings, which is sometimes a good direction to go in because you should be cognizant of, microaggressing other people and, hurting other people with your words. But I think that it puts an unnecessary pressure in a time where we all deal with anxiety and depression. Like you're constantly feeling compressed by people's eyes and ears and wondering if you're gonna say something wrong.
Well, I'll put it this way. I think I feel pretty safe in saying, knowing you guys for all the last 20 minutes.
Which is a lifetime, let's be honest.
Which is basically a lifetime in this era. And knowing Laura for the last 10 years, that we're sitting amongst a group of people that are very, very progressive. And the idea of being quote unquote PC is generally the ideas that I agree with. Like, I don't think it's about being politically correct. I think it's about being polite and kind and accepting to people who deserve that and haven't gotten it.
Yeah, totally.
But when you've gotten to a place where people that are this progressive are all also like, we kind of all need to calm down a little bit, it shows that the cancel culture has gotten crazy. Because even if you're, I'm left of left.
You're left of California.
I'm left of California. I'm in the ocean. I've been swimming there for years. And yet you still end up scared that like you're going to say a joke that all of a sudden is going to get flipped on its head and everything you've been doing for so long. Now, for the most part, though, I will say I think people who are good and make a mistake generally can find their way back. And the people who are generally shitty and they end up finding more shitty shit. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure sometimes that's not true. I'm sure there are people who have completely, whether it be a Kevin Hart or whoever the person might be, who really is well-intentioned and just completely has their career take a turn that you're like, yo, that's a lot.
Yeah, and I also think we all feel like we've become experts on apologies, and we like analyze them. How honest is this? How much do they mean this apology? Do they apologize for how someone felt? I'm so sorry it made you feel this way.
By the way, the worst apology ever.
Yeah, it is.
The worst
Delete
apology.
that apology.
Why does anyone
we can
do
cancel
that?
that apology.
It's not a
you get canceled for that apology.
It's not a restorative apology.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That annoys me so much.
If you feel that I hurt your feelings,
Yes,
I'm
it's
sorry.
Not
It's
real.
like,
That's not a thing.
That's not.
Like,
It's,
you should
I'm
have just
sorry for what
not
I did.
said anything.
But just do Bill Clinton. I miss the good old days. Lie. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
What do you mean the good old days? I think there's plenty of that going around.
You can't say that.
Yeah, but Bill was so
but
much
also-
more. Bill was so much more on point with his line when Bill Clinton said it depends on what your definition of is.
Yeah.
That's taking it to a different level.
Yeah.
See, our current president isn't smart enough to do definition of is. Well, regardless of what your definition of is, you is going to enjoy yourself this weekend.
You definitely are.
And watch The Perfection on Netflix.
Oh,
What time
boy.
on Friday? Is that Thursday at midnight, like an album, or is that like Friday evening? Do we know?
12:01
a.m.
there you
That's
go.
so
Thursday
cool.
night.
Thursday night.
So you could have a late night Thursday party too.
Wow. Well, if that is your lifestyle, I am jealous, and we are different.
We're asleep.
Because we are born.
That is impressive.
Well, congratulations,
Thank you
guys.
so
Yeah,
much.
Perfection
It's so
out
nice to talk to you
Friday.
guys.
It was good. I had a good time. I was scared. I was happy. I was sad. I was grossed out. So there you go.
Well, thrill and chill this weekend. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Cheers.
you.